Food and Drug Quality by Juan Aristizábal. The Progressive Era was the period in U.S. history in which pressure groups raised the awareness of political and social injustices and the plight of many Americans who were living in terrible conditions, and earned their living in dangerous and unhealthy working conditions. Unpleasant changes in society had been brought about by rapid urbanization, where people had moved from a rural environment to a congested, dirty city setting. The effects of industrialization had led to the growth of big business and corporations and the rise of massive factories owned by the ruthless, greedy robber barons, who cared little about people but a lot about profits. The drive to increase production and improve profit led unhygienic practices that threatened the welfare and safety of the nation. The Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906 and the Meat Inspection Act of 1906 were both widely accredited to a book called The Jungle that was written by progressive author Upton Sinclair. Sinclair revealed the unhygienic and unsanitary methods used by the food industry, and the scandal emerged about the quality and purity of food sold to the U.S. public. The Jungle was published in 1906 and became an international bestseller. Sinclair exposed Chicago's meatpacking industry, telling tales of diseased meat, of dead rats, and the poison that killed them being thrown into the processing vats to make sausages. The public outcry resulted in a government investigation which changed the food laws in America overnight. Upton Sinclair was revealed by the industry owners as one of the muckrackers of the Progressive Era. President Roosevelt sent social workers James Bronson Reynolds and Labor Commissioner Charles P. Neal to investigate the Upton Sinclair's claims and make surprise visits to meatpacking facilities. President Theodore Roosevelt was appalled by Neil Reynolds' report. Upton Sinclair's damning revelations were all true. The Pure Food and Drug Act and the Meat Inspection Act were immediately signed into law.
Theodore Roosevelt often spoke of fighting a war against the evils of the day. During his presidency, Roosevelt was very active in arguing for laws and policies to benefit public health. After reading Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, which documented the terrible conditions of the meatpacking industry, Roosevelt invited the author to the White House. During a meeting with Sinclair, Roosevelt promised to use federal regulations to clean up the sickening conditions inside meatpacking plants.
The Pure Food and Drug Act had a huge impact on the United States. It improved the general health and welfare of the public. It prevented the misrepresentation of medicine and drugs. It gave credibility to the square deal domestic policy of President Roosevelt. And it gave credence to the effectiveness of investigative journalism, books that tackled social issues, and the importance of the progressive authors referred to as muckrakers. The Pure Food and Drug Act was subsequently amended in 1912, 13, and 19. The provisions of the Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906 were superseded by the stricter provisions of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The political cartoon I made shows a woman coming out of the grocery store and being stopped by an FDA officer, and he takes Cheerios out of her bag and says, "Aha, drug possession," because before the Food and Drug Act, there were a lot of drugs inside packaged food that you can get almost anywhere. So